Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for being here today for our third week of our Safety Focus Fridays. Today we're going to be talking about OSHA 300 record keeping. And we are recording this. This will be available at some point. We don't have a great way to share recordings at the moment, but we're working on that. Um, and let's get started. So first of all, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function and we'll be monitoring that throughout. And we will start with the OSHA 300 log. So if you are in agriculture, you are in the required category to have an OSHA 300 log. This should be something that you record throughout the year. So within 7 days of having an accident that meets the criteria of recordable cases, you should record this on your OSHA 300 log if you have 10 or more employees. So that means 10 or more employees at any time in the year, your peak employment at any time at all locations. So if you have 5 employees at one location and 7 employees at another location, you've got 12 employees in this context. Um, Now, let's talk about what makes it recordable. If you have an accident that is at the workplace and requires medical treatment beyond first aid, it is recordable. And you should be filling out these 301 forms or something similar to it. You can use something different as long as it has all of the same information that these 301 forms have. So let's start with this first accident. This was our first accident. We're going to go ahead and pretend that we had these accidents last year. On January 17th, 2024, Mr. Make It was removing a jam from a box machine. And once the jam was removed, the machine completed its cycle and he ended up with a laceration and a broken finger. So I recorded on the 301 or whatever form you're using, and then you add it to your OSHA 300 log. And we have that here on our first entry. All of this information that I just talked about is in here. Now, if this employee was restricted from work and actually missed work, you are only going to select one of these four. So it's either death, days away from work, a job transfer restriction, or it's another recordable case. But it cannot be more than two in these sections. So in this instance, this employee actually had days away from work and had restricted job transfer. We are going to record the most serious, which is days away from work. And I entered that here. However, I am going to put both how many days away from work he was, how many days he was away from work and how many days he was restricted. And then you record only one in this category too. And at the bottom, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet, you can have it total already at the bottom, so you can easily transfer that over to your summary. Now let's move on to our second injury of the year. And this one, I'm trying to go over some of the more complicated and frequently asked questions we have. And this one, I'm questioning if this is work related. I've recorded it and everything, but now that I'm going to enter it into my summary, I'm reviewing everything and now I'm having questions. So this employee was using a company car, but they were running an errand at work, a personal errand. The employee was stopped at a stoplight and was run into by a delivery truck. And this caused some serious injuries. This person was in the hospital with a concussion, broken ribs, lacerations, and was could not work for many days. And I now have this on my form, but I have it as days away from work. She was able to come back to work once she was released. I've recorded how many days away she was. So she was quite injured and was away from work for quite a long time. And we'll talk about that here in a second. And then I've recorded it as an injury. Now, because she was doing a personal errand, this is not going to be a work-related case. So what I will do, if I've reviewed this and decided that, I am going to just cross it out. You can leave all the information there, but we're just not going to count that one. And if it's ending up in your total, you're just going to take that out. So we've determined, after we've written this down already and everything, we've determined this is not work related. We're removing it from our log. And I have a question. Yes, I can send you the Excel version. I was actually going to send I will attach some documents here in the chat. I have the PDF versions. Can everybody see the PDF versions? Because they're already there. I'm going to send them again just in case. There's some resources there that I'm hoping you can use, but I can also get you the Excel spreadsheet version. That was the question. Sorry about that. If you guys can have the Excel spreadsheet version. And
Tony, I'm not sure if everybody can see it because on the chat it says it goes to the host and panelists.
oh shoot, you're right. Let me see if I can change that. And it only lets me select one at a time. So there are 3 resources that I'm attaching right now. One is a decision tree to help you decide if it's a recordable case. One is a cheat sheet that we made up, and one is the complete package with some instructions for the OSHA 300 forms. Okay. Please let me know if you guys can't see that. Okay. And then I will also get you the attachment for the spreadsheet here in a second. Okay, so we're on to our 3rd injury of the year. This injury, I've got this part, everything over here is pretty much the same. On this side, I've changed, just the date and time and everything. But really what we're talking about is the difference in the accidents. So this employee was walking and slipped on a wet floor and ended up bruising his right arm. Now, when he fell, we sent him to the doctor. The doctor did some x-rays to make sure nothing was broken and then fully released this employee back to work. So I have this recorded on my OSHA 300 log right here. He's line 3, that he slipped on a wet floor and there was no death involved. There were no days away from work, no job transfer. So I recorded as other recordable case. It was an injury, it wasn't a skin disorder or any of these other options. So I've recorded that, but was this an injury beyond first aid? An x-ray is considered diagnosis. So even though the doctor gave him an x-ray, this is not a recordable case. So because it is under the first aid requirements, our first aid specifications in the rule, and those are on the resources that I sent to you guys. What first aid is considered. So I'm going to cross him out too. This one actually does not count for us either. Now I have just one more that I want to talk about. This is another type of common obstacle that you might face as an employer. So on this accident, the employee was packing product and ended up straining his back while he was lifting boxes. The employee went to the doctor. He was not hospitalized or anything, but he is on job restriction now. He can come back to work, but he is on job restrictions. So we offered him light duty. He's doing some modified duty jobs. And because this accident happened on 12/14 of last year, we have crossover into this year. And he's been out of work at least for 34 days. Now you're coming to the point where you've got to fill out your OSHA 300 log. So you need to have an accurate number of days, right? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know how long he's actually going to be out. We have an estimate from the doctor. This is the estimate that the doctor says that they are going to be out of work. And that's what you enter. If it comes back that that employee actually is going to be on restriction for maybe longer, then we will come back and update that at another time. You have to keep these forms for at least 5 years. So if you find out new information that you didn't have before, you're going to just go back to that year and update that year. I will not include this one on my 2025 OSHA 300 log. It only goes on 1 year. Also, if these days exceed 180 days, you stop counting after 180 days. So now that I have all of this information up here and my totals are down here, this is what I'm going to use for my OSHA 300 summary. Now, I didn't have any deaths. I'm going to look at my column H on my OSHA 300 form. Column H is right here. I had 1 with days away from work, so I just put 1. Total with job restrictions, that's case or column J or I, and I have 1 there too. And total number of other recordable cases, I do not have any in that column. For columns K and L, I have 1 and 39, so I'm going to enter those down here. For K, I had 1 day of days away from work, and for days on job transfer, I had 39. 39 or 34. 34, 39. And all of these were injuries. There are a total of 2 now because I removed 2 of those that ended up not being recordable cases, and I have 2 under section M, column 1. And that's it, except for this side. And this side is all about your company information. The annual number of employees, if you add up for each payroll, add up the total number of employees for each payroll for the entire year, and then multiply by the number of hours of a full-time employee, and then divide by the number of pay periods you have. You should have an average number of hours worked by employees. There is a calculation in the rule if you need it. I don't think I included that on the cheat sheet. And then if you need help with that, we can help with that too. Figuring out the average number of employees by using your quarterly reports and things. And then the company executive, the person that's supposed to sign that's got to be your highest level at the company that should be signing it. So your CEO, the owner, or representative from if it's a corporation. So that is it. That's the quick tutorial for this year's OSHA 300 logs. Let me see if I can attach the Excel spreadsheets real quick. I did not. Oh, I got to close this first. Okay, so now you should have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet as well for the OSHA 300 forms, as well as a cheat sheet, a record or a decision tree, and a complete PDF package that has a lot more instructions and everything with it. Are there any other questions while we're here? Okay, it does not look like there's any questions. I'm going to